This is the American Indians, Indigenous Peoples Truths, Justice for All, the most dangerous show on media anywhere. OCO and greetings. I'm WINTER NIGHTWOLF. Before we get started, I would like to pause for a moment to acknowledge the traditional stewards of the lands that we reside on, and especially their ancestors, descendants, and all indigenous people who live here and have lived on this land that we call Turtle Island. The people of New York, the Mohawk, the Onondaga, and others, the people of the region that I live in, the Piscataway Indians. We recently lost the chief of the Piscataway Indians, Chief Billy Tayak, who was like an uncle to me. I'm not Piscataway. I'm Cherokee, Shoshone, and TAINO. But he was a very close friend of mine. Chief Billy Tayak was one of the founding members of the American Indian movement, and he remained loyal to the cause of indigeneity of the people of the Western Hemisphere. So I would like to say to Billy, Uncle Billy, may you have a peaceful journey into the next world. I love you, man, and will never forget you. We have news from Indian country. Usually Judge Don Walker does news from Indian country for us, but he's been tied up in court all day. So I'm going to attempt to do the news from Indian country tonight. Welcome back. I'm WINTER NIGHTWOLF, and filling in for Judge Don Walker, who got held up in court today, is news from Indian country. Let me see, something's happening with the screen. There we go, there we go. I have sitting to my right a young lady who is the great-great-great-granddaughter of the last Comanche war chief, Quanah Parker. Her name is Sydney Parker, and Sydney is one of my new interns along with her older brother who couldn't make it tonight. So I'm gonna ask Sydney to slide over here. I want everybody to see you, sweetie. Okay, all right. Can you all see that pretty lady? Sydney, you do your uncle a favor, sweetie?
Sure.
All right. What was that? Okay. Sydney, would you read this news from Indian country tonight?
Sure.
And I'll move out of your way. Okay. There you go.
All right.
Your training starts here.
Okay.
So, news from Indian country.
News from Indian country today. Push for indigenous curriculum makes gains. It has been a long-running goal of many Native people to have more about their history and culture taught in schools. For many years, tribes have felt their history has not been given its due by schools in Connecticut, a state that takes its name from, I don't want to mispronounce this.
The Algonquian word.
The Algonquian word meaning land on the long tidal river. Soon, however, schools will be required to teach Native American studies with an emphasis on local tribes under a law passed this year at the urging of tribes, including the Mashantucket
Pequot
tribal nation, best known today for its Foxwoods Resort Casino. When you're in Connecticut, to not learn about the Eastern Woodland tribes, the tribes that Connecticut was founded on, was the issue that we were pressing, said Rodney Butler, chairman of the Mashantucket
Pequot.
Yeah. It has been a long-running goal of many Native people to have more about their history and culture taught in grade schools. New requirements have been adopted in Connecticut, North Dakota, and Oregon, and advocates say their efforts have gained some momentum with the nation's reckoning over racial injustice since the killing of George Floyd. The legislation affecting schools has advised alongside new bans on Native mascots for sports teams and states celebrating Indigenous Peoples Day in place of Christopher Columbus Day. The push for curriculum requirements has not been without challenges, with some legislatures believing new laws unnecessary because Native American history already is reflected in school curriculum. There also have been some steps in the opposite direction amid battles over how topics related to race and racism are taught in classrooms. In South Dakota, a group of teachers and citizens charged with crafting new state social studies standards last month that Governor Kristi Noem's administration deleted from their draft recommendations many elements intending to bolster students' understanding of Native American history and culture. They said changes made to the draft gave it a political edge that they had tried to avoid, aligning it instead with the Republican governor's rhetoric on what she calls patriotic education. The Department of Education said in a statement that it relied heavily on the recommendations from the work group and made certain adjustments before the release of the draft to provide greater clarity and focus for educators and the public. Meanwhile, in Montana, tribes and the parents of 18 students filed a federal lawsuit in July alleging state education leaders are violating a state constitutional requirement to teach all children about the unique culture and heritage of Native Americans. A 2019 report from the National Congress of American Indians, which surveyed 35 states with federally recognized tribes, found nearly 90% of states said they had efforts underway to improve the quality and access to Native curriculum. While a majority said it's included in their schools, less than half said it was required and specific to tribal nations in their state. We are seeing a focus on different race and issues, said Aaron Payment, first vice president of the National Congress of American Indians and chairperson of the 44,000 citizen Sault Ste.
Marie. Tribe of Chippewa Indians in Michigan.
Yeah. Payment, who holds a doctorate in educational leadership, said Native American studies should not be incorporated across the curriculum and not taught just at Thanksgiving, where it is a condensed sort of module. He doesn't support states mandating the curriculum per se, but believes states should provide incentives and funding to develop curriculum with input from tribes. The Connecticut legislation makes it mandatory for schools to teach Native American studies starting with the 2023 to 2024 school year. It passed despite concerns raised by teachers' unions and State Education Commissioner Miguel Cardona. Cardona, who is now the U.S. Education Secretary, has said it is important to teach how Native American people, but he was wary of unfunded mandates for school districts that are still working to implement other course lawmakers, and the governor have required them to teach. In North Dakota, a bill became law this year that requires all elementary and secondary schools, public and private, to include tribal history in their curriculum, with an emphasis on tribes within the state. In Oregon, A similar law took effect in 2019 to provide historically accurate, culturally embedded, place-based, contemporary, and developmentally appropriate American Indian and Alaska Native curriculum in 5 subject areas. California ski resort officially removes offensive word. Washoe Tribal Chairman said the Tribal Council expressed its great appreciation for this positive step forward. San Francisco. A popular California ski resort whose name included a derogatory term for Native women changed its name to Palisades Tahoe Monday. Resort officials had begun searching for a new name last year amid a reckoning over racial injustice. The renaming of Squaw Valley Ski Resort is one of many efforts nationally to address a history of colonialism and oppression against Native people and other people of color that includes removing statues of Christopher Columbus. The S word, should I have not read it?
No, you're good.
Okay. The S word derived from this one right here.
Where?
This one.
Algonquian
language may have once simply meant woman, but over generations, the word morphed into a misogynist and racist term to disparage indigenous women, according to experts. It was the right thing to do, and I think it's going to make a difference. I think we're going to be seen as a more welcoming, inclusive result in communities, said Palisades Tahoe President and COO D. Byron. Byron said that after studying the issue for the past year, the results research concluded the word is very offensive, not just to indigenous women, but to all women. The resort is in Olympic Valley, which is known as S-Word Valley until it hosted the 1960s Winter Olympics. Tribes in the region had been asking the resort for a name change for decades. The valley in the Lake Tahoe area was 200 miles northeast of San Francisco, is within the ancestral homeland of the Washoe people. Darrell Cruz of the Washoe Tribe Historic Preservation Office said in a statement, he said, the word is a constant reminder of those time periods when it is not good for us. It's a term that was inflicted upon us by someone else and we don't agree with it. Washoe Tribal Chairman Cyril Smokey said, the Tribal Council expressed its great appreciation for this positive step forward. There's been a lot of progress, but there's still a lot of work to be done, he added. We need to continue to capitalize on that progress and continue to push forward. Smokey said the tribe plans to work with the resort as well as Placer County officials to rename other public places and features in the Olympic Valley that continue to use the derogatory word. Company officials said the resort's new logo honors the 2 legendary mountains that were part of it. And in a nod to the Washoe tribe of Nevada and California, it features an eagle, a symbol of the spiritual word for Native people. Beyond changing its name, the company said it's partnering with the Washoe tribe to educate resort guests about tribal culture. This summer, the resort launched the Washoe Cultural Tour Series, offering a monthly talk by Cruz. The resort will also install an exhibit on the Washoe way of life.
I think we should give her a hand. You know, she did a fabulous job.
Yeah.
She's in training, but in order for them to know what they do, they need to be led by the hand and trained with patience and understanding. I'm so proud of you.
Thank you.
Okay. I'm Jay Winter Nightwolf, and this is News from Indian Country. We'll be back in just a minute. Welcome back. Hello,
Halito.
Leslie. How you doing?
Halito, how are you?
I'm good. I'm good. We got a lot of people watching tonight.
Yeah. Everybody's wishing you they said that you did a great job with the news.
Thank you.
Yes,
Look at all of the accolades that you're getting. Great job, hand claps.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Awesome.
Yeah. You know, I'm so happy I found this girl. You know, she's not a girl, she's a woman, but she's
a lady, young lady.
Yeah,
Yes,
young lady.
definitely.
She's my niece, and I'm proud to call her that.
You should. You should. Well, we have to mention that this is Hispanic Heritage Month.
Oh, yeah.
This is going on now from September the 15th until October the 15th. And we also wanted to wish everybody Yom Kippur. It's a time where there's a lot of fasting and everything, so that their fasting will be easy during Yom Kippur.
Good. But you know, Leslie, you know, I learned a long time ago that, you know, people, they have a right to what they believe in.
Mm-hmm.
And nobody has a right to infringe upon anybody else's beliefs.
True.
When the European invaders got here over 500 years ago, there was already 1,200 separate governments of Native people. But they totally ignored our sovereignty. And they're paying for it now. You know, if you look around at the weather and this virus that's going around, you know, I always will believe that God is still in control. Mm-hmm. And God sends messages to all of us every day. So it don't make a difference what you look like, where you come from, what you eat, what you wear, who you call your God. We're all a part of one thing, the human family.
Yep.
And all of our ancestors like Sitting Bull and Crazy Horse, all of those guys rained in the face, all of them. When they met people that didn't look like them or act like them or believe like them, they never made fun of them. They didn't push them aside. They welcomed them as being members of the human family. And that's what we all need to get back to. We need to learn how to talk to each other instead of talking at each other. We need to be more understanding of other folks' difficulties, because whether you believe it or not, we were put here to share each other's burdens. And if you don't do that, that creates ripples in the stream and the pond.
You know, I've always said that the journey to wisdom and knowing wisdom is learning about people and their culture, because it makes you a person that becomes more well-rounded and more worldly and appreciated as a result. So by not trying to stifle somebody's beliefs, not trying to stifle a way that people do things, by doing that, you enhance yourself as an individual, you know?
Yes.
So, and we have to respect our land. We're not respecting our land. And this is what our ancestors did. We were caretakers of the land. It was not about possession. We were caretakers. So once we get out of that ideology that we own something, that we own this land, that we own Mother Earth, we could probably see things that will be, you know, a normal, beautiful, a better way of life. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, that's just not the case, because the mentality is so different right now.
Yeah, and we need to also learn how to forgive each other.
True.
You know, see, forgiving somebody is not because of the transgressions and things they did to you. Mm-hmm. It's you being the bigger person and forgiving that person, because all of that bad karma that you have as a result of that would be lifted off of you.
Exactly.
You know, so that's my 2 cents worth.
So we've got a really interesting and incredible show this evening. Mm-hmm. One that I'm very, 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 very interested in. Mm-hmm. And can you kind of lead us into our guest this evening?
Yes. Do we have Arthur REDCLOUD?
Yes, we do. He is available.
What, is Henry called in yet?
No, not yet. No Henry yet.
Yeah. Well, Henry's got a lot of responsibilities out there in Indian country, and I know he had a meeting. He had to travel, And if we can't get him on tonight, that's okay.
We'll get him on another night.
Yeah, there you go. But my brother and my friend, Arthur REDCLOUD, can you bring him up on the screen?
I sure will.
All right.
Hey, Arthur.
Hey, what's going on?
Arthur, you got millions of folks watching you.
Oh, okay.
This is Arthur REDCLOUD, and let me tell you who he is. He is Navajo and also Lakota. He grew up in Window Rock, Arizona on the Navajo Reservation. He attended Haskell Indian Nations University in Lawrence, Kansas. He eventually settled in Colleyville, Texas. REDCLOUD became a Christian in the early 2000s, and while working as a part-time security guard for the Gateway Church, he was a police officer. He began attending weekend services in 2004. This is going to surprise all of you. The movie that got nominated for 2 Academy Awards, REVENANT, was his first role as an actor, his major feature. He co-starred with Leonardo DiCaprio. Before it, he had taken some acting classes and acted for 2 to 3 years in low-budget films. For his audition, REDCLOUD took time off of his job as a fuel delivery driver and drove 635 miles from Dallas, Texas to Santa Fe, New Mexico in one night. Wow. For the part of Hikuc, a Pawnee man who comes to the aid of Hugh Glass, played by Leonardo DiCaprio. After a bad back audition, a callback audition in Canada, Arthur got the part. So I'm encouraging all of you to go and watch this movie, REVENANT. And I'm so proud he's my brother and my nephew now. To make the film, Arthur had said the actors frequently rehearsed for
all his blessings.
Yeah. He acted for 12 to 14 hours in the freezing cold. You know, Calgary, Alberta, it's cold up there. And later in Argentina. He called the film a spiritual awakening for him that not only brought him closer to his co-star, Leonardo DiCaprio, and the rest of the cast, but made him appreciate how much more difficult life was for everyone in the past. I can read a lot about Arthur, but I know Arthur's heart. And I was introduced to Arthur for the first time, what was it, 4 weeks ago? Because Arthur is also the nephew of one of my close friends for many years, Eagle Claw Victorio. And any of you that have listened to my radio broadcasts over the years, Eagle Claw was on my radio show many times. Eagle Claw was the great-grandson of Chief Victorio of the Apaches. And any of you that have seen Buffalo Soldiers with Danny Glover, that chief, that little guy, Victorio, that refused to be driven out of the United States back into Mexico, refused to go. And that man was Eagle Claw Victorio's great-great-grandfather. I met Arthur on a telephone call because Eagle Claw Victorio's wife was having problems with the VA getting his veteran benefits. So I stepped right in the middle of that. So all you veterans out there, if you're sick and you know you're getting ready to pass away and you got a wife and children, make sure they got the information, because what they are doing to Eagle Claw Victorio's wife is an unforgivable sin, and I will hold them accountable forever for that. And I'm going to fight alongside to make sure she get her benefits. Anyway, off of that, here we go. Look at Arthur. Man, you got an amazing smile, man. How'd you do that?
I don't know. I think it came from great blessings and favors.
So, Arthur, let's talk a little bit. I know you're at work now, and I know it's difficult, but Leslie,
Yes.
you told me you had a question for Arthur, right?
I did. Well, Arthur, first of all, I just want to commend you as an actor. From actor to actor, getting a role like that is like a lifetime type of, everybody dreams about that one role that's going to give them visibility, but you actually lived it. So when the show is over, I definitely want to talk with you about all of that. But congratulations on doing that, and then getting future work and everything that you're doing, and representing Native culture to the best of the ability that you can. And you are part of a new breed of Native actors that are coming out there that are showing a different side that has not been stereotypical. So I want to really applaud you for that. Elder told me that you were looking for your people, and that was important for you to find out who your people were. Can you tell me why was this important for you to try to discover who you belong to, what people you belong to, what nation you belong to? How important was that to you?
It was probably one of the hardest things to really think about and ask for, but also to really know not just where you come from, but who you come from, but why, and then of course taking that and living with that and trying to go about your journey in the direction you want to. And so it was probably one of the hardest things to find out about, but also one to also discover as I was learning all this, because my father did not, of course, he was decolonized from school, so he didn't really get to learn like the way he should have or he was supposed to. So I had to pick up the slack, if you will, and learn about it. And I, just running in with Jay and getting in touch with Henry was such a big, huge blessing recently to know, who I come from, even to know what generation I came from, because that probably blew me away more than anything, was to know the generation I came from. So that probably was because you have these different nations you come from. You want to know not just why or who, but why. And to me, it's just another pillar of who I come from. And as you have personalities come from your parents or your grandparents, but also from the generation too. Especially with being 7 generations, and I thought I was at least 10 years generations, and I was 7. So knowing that really kind of gave me a lot of peace.
Good to know.
I was so happy to. I mean, when I talked to Arthur for the first time, he told me he'd been looking for his people. So I said, REDCLOUD? He said, yeah. I said, well, hang on for a minute. I want to put you on the phone with a good friend of mine. And he's a REDCLOUD. His name is Henry REDCLOUD on Pine Ridge Reservation. So I called Henry. I said, Henry. He said, hey, how you doing, Nightwolf? This you? I said, yes, it is. I said, Henry, I think I have one of your relatives on the phone. Well, what's the relative's name? I said, Arthur REDCLOUD. He said, I heard that name before, but I never met this person. I got them on the phone, and man, it was like, It was so much joy in that conversation when Henry REDCLOUD ran Arthur REDCLOUD's genealogy down to him, all the way back to Chief REDCLOUD. And I couldn't have been more happy for Arthur and Henry than anybody else. And Arthur, thank you for giving me that opportunity to help you with that, bro.
Oh, well, thank you. No, You know, can't leave Aunt Messina out either at all.
Oh yeah, I know. So Leslie, go right ahead.
So now that you know where you come from, what kind of responsibility do you feel to your ancestors now that you know you have this great ancestry behind you, being a descendant of Chief REDCLOUD? What kind of motivation is that giving you now that you know who you are attached to?
Oh, it gives me a different kind of a more stronger identity, but also a more heavier responsibility, not just of who he was or what he did, but what his, I guess, goals and dreams were, what his prayers were, not just for himself, but for his people. So all of that responsibility I hold heavy, you know, in my heart on it. So I feel like I just need to keep pushing forward and keep going and, you know, helping, you know, our generations or younger generations and stuff do what's necessary. Because, I mean, I wish I could ask him so many questions, but, you know, to just know from like Henry or Charles, Henry REDCLOUD, just, you knowing what really was in Chief REDCLOUD's heart, you know, especially for his people. And it's not just people's losses, but their victories. It's everything, you know, because like I said, I feel like coming from him, I that responsibility, you know, weighs even heavier on me to you know, to do this, to do that, to go, you know, do everything I need to do, you know, whether it's a, you know, it comes in a good situation or a bad situation, but to at least try. So
That's right. That's right.
So Elder Nightwolf, can you do us a favor, and for the audience members who do not know who Chief REDCLOUD is, can you kind of give us a little bit of a history on Chief REDCLOUD?
Let me think about that, because I got so much stuff going on up here. But I did want to say something to Henry. I mean, yeah, to Arthur. When Arthur was introduced to Henry mentioned to him that you got to come up here to South Dakota and meet your people. And it was so surprising to find out that there is a community on Pine Ridge with between 500 to 600 members of the REDCLOUD family that Arthur has not met. You know, God, that has got to be a blessing from not just heaven, but a blessing to have all of these relatives, people that have the same blood that you have, and have an opportunity to meet them before you leave and go away from here. Right, Arthur? How you feel about that?
yes, sir, absolutely. Because as we do in everything else, you know, for our ancestors, a lot goes to, you know, being the example, you know, that they were example for us. So we have to keep, you know, in everything we're doing, you know, whether it's building or helping or planting, you know, we're being the example because they were the example.
Arthur, are you going to put this on your resume, your acting resume now? Your IMDb page?
Sure, absolutely.
You better.
Yeah. So let's take a quick break and come back and talk to Arthur REDCLOUD again. And I'm gonna have my niece to get in on this conversation too, because I'm training her. Believe me, inside of 6 months, she's gonna be ready for whatever comes down the road. Right, baby?
You're right.
All right, don't go away. We'll be back in about a minute. Welcome back to the most dangerous show on television right now. J1 and Nightwolf Live. So there's a question on the screen that says, we must do our paper genealogy and other resources to find our lost tribes. My 5 great-grandfather is chief of the Shawnee Indian tribes, and my Choctaw Indians as Cherokee and Choctaw too. As Joseph. And then we got Jimmy Schnitzer who says, I met a brother near New York, delivering his aunt a camper months ago. Okay. A nephew of Chief REDCLOUD. Chief REDCLOUD was one of the most important and formidable foes of the federal government when they tried to take their land. And it says that REDCLOUD was one of the most important leaders of the Oglala Lakota from 1868 to 1909. He was one of the most capable Native American opponents whom the United States Army faced in its mission to occupy Indian land. So, Arthur, you come from a warrior society.
Yes.
I think that it behooves all of us with Native blood, all of us that identify that we have Native blood, that we have a responsibility to our people. We have a responsibility to our land, and we are the protectors of the land. And
Yes,
all of this stuff that's going on with them trying to run pipelines through the land to sell oil to other countries for a profit. When the hell are they going to ever learn that, first of all, it's not your land? The land that you stand on is what your ancestors stole from our people. So when are you going to learn that we must live together in this world? Because if we don't, it's going to be all over and nobody's going to profit. But I can guarantee you one thing: nobody gets out of here alive. You don't go to the next level as a person that's still living. You die. So it's all up to how you want to die. I want to die knowing that I've done something to help my people. And who are my people? The Cherokee, Shoshone, TAINO, and all the members of the human family. Those are my people. I don't care if you're black, white, yellow, or gray squirrel. You're my people. And we need to learn how to start fighting for each other. We need to learn how to fight to save this world. This climate exchange, this climate change thing is no joke. Believe me. My executive producer, when that storm hit down in Louisiana and it came up the coast, her down in New Jersey and New York City got blasted with water.
Yep.
She woke up to what, 1.5 feet of water in your basement. They never had anything like that up there.
No, it was totally crazy. Even we had alligators in the water. So yeah, main streets were looking like flooding, like rushing rivers just out of nowhere. And as quickly as it came, the flash flood, it abated. It was the craziest thing I've ever seen. Category 3 tornado, everything. I have a question for Arthur, though. I wanted to ask him, this being your first role in Revenant, how did you feel knowing that you were going to be acting with Leonardo DiCaprio? What was that like?
Of course, meeting him for the first time was astronomical. But knowing who he was and whatnot, see, I didn't go in with the starstruck thing. I don't know why. In my head it was, but not an outward expression. It was just, I was just being there, not just being present, but being there, representing, like Jay said, my people. I was there representing my ancestors. If they were here, this is what they would say. This is how they would act. Much respect, of course, but also carrying that, I guess you could say, power of our ancestors and people is one thing I brought to to that meeting and whatnot. Of course, I was going crazy and excited and all that in my head, but for us, it's we can say that to a lot of people we meet, whatever, but at the same time, it's like even that name, not just in your daily life, but also in your public life, like meeting your job people and or just meeting new friends on social media, whatever. You're still representing your ancestors, no matter what you do. So it still says a lot, so I just wanted my or their presence to be known. That's it.
Yeah. And you know what? I met some, what people consider to be very important people. When I was in high school, one day I'm standing in the hallway waiting to go to lunch. This limousine pulls up, a Secret Service limousine, and this guy jumps out and walks up the steps of Spingarn Senior High School. And he walked in the door. He says, "Hey, how you doing?" And I looked at him. I said, "You're Bobby Kennedy." He said, "Yes, I am." And we shook hands. And it was like, "Okay, so what are you doing here?" He said, "I came here to meet some of the people in D.C. in the schools that I represent." I said, "Okay." I showed him to the principal's office. When Dr. King came here for the March on Washington, when he made his speech, "I Have a Dream," I was just a little boy. I met him. And then later on, when I met Barack Obama,
You met Barack Obama? Oh my God.
Yeah, I met him. Yeah, I met him. So
what you're saying is that in each of these times that you met these people, just like Arthur said, you were representing your people. You were showing a side of your people who they were Shoshone, Cherokee, and Taino, or just Native people as a whole. You were representing that.
So I asked Barack, I said, "You're the president, the first black one. We're related to you." He said, "What do you mean?" I said, "I'm American Indian. We related." Yeah. I said, "So what are you going to do to help us?" He said, "You just watch and wait." Barack Obama held every year the first tribal council summit at the White House for the whole 8 years he was there.
Wow.
Oh man,
I did not know that.
Oh yeah, man, Tex Hall and all those guys showed up, and I was like, oh wow. Of course, I was walking around with bragging rights. I met a Barack Obama. But he did a lot of good, and then we had that fool to come in behind him that tried to destroy everything that he did, and telling everybody about the Indians up in the New England area of the United States. Well, they don't look like Indians to me. No, because they don't look like the Hollywood makeup Indians. It's
there
crazy.
You go.
Yeah, we all don't look alike.
Hey, I speaking of that, I do have to ask Arthur this. Arthur, I've heard there are a lot of people that go for auditions that are not Native, but say that they're Native. Has it happened to you? Have you gone into an audition and seen somebody that was not actually Native going for a role that was Native?
There are, I think, from what I've seen, there where I go, it's a little harder because I live in Texas and everything's done on video. Of course, everything was done, in person, but when I did walking auditions in LA, of course I was the only native there, whatever. So, it was pretty hard to see whatever, but in different areas and different parts of the state, I don't know. I can't really speak on that because wherever I go, usually I'm the only one. So,
Oh man.
So in that case, when you have a director who doesn't know about Native history, have they advised you on set about what would be appropriate?
A lot of them, if they don't have like a liaison, a Native American historian or whatever, usually I think they rely on us. There's been a couple times I've been asked, to kind of step into that. I get that, they ask me, what would be best, and stuff. So I try to just give my best situation.
Yeah.
Because they've for years they wrote their own narrative about who we are, who they think we are, who we should be, or whatever. So changing that narrative goes into just, not just what you do on set, but how you conduct yourself every day, so, because, we have to constantly teach because, no one's teaching about us anymore, or they're just teaching something, superiority to the white people for them, where we just in the background somewhere.
Yeah, they're teaching the fairy tales. And,
Yes.
And the first news article that my niece read was on education in the schools, Native education. And they've been fighting that thing tooth and nail for so many years. And I'm very happy to see us getting some attention now. Because out here in Maryland, PG County, I guess I got a big mouth because I raised hell at several school board meetings about it. Well, is it really important? What the hell do you mean is it really important? The land that you're standing on is our land. We didn't give you permission to stand on our land. And you don't want to talk, well.
It's so funny. I didn't mean to interrupt, Jay. It's so funny when she was reading that in Texas, as of September 2001 or 21, they're going to stop teaching Native American history in schools in Texas.
What?
Yes.
Yes, I heard that. That's right.
Oh, we need to do a broadcast on that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, And people look at you and say, why are you so opinionated? Why the hell do you think?
Because a lot of the teachers that I'm friends with would ask me to come on Native American Indian Day and teach the kids about your culture and your heritage and your people and all that. And, not because they're reading it from a book or they're reading it from, whatever. So now this tells me with history changing like that and them stopping teaching about Native American history, it's just another form of genocide.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this means I can't go teach the kids, about who we are.
Mm-hmm.
So are you saying that with them now teaching it in school, are they actually going to advise or consult with someone what the curriculum is going to be? Who are they speaking to about this curriculum?
I don't know. That's the part I've been trying to find out, because I'm like, well, if you're going to stop teaching about Native American history, then don't even teach about the Pilgrims and the Indians and Thanksgiving and stuff, because everybody seems to gravitate or, get that symbolism of us through, through the, the Pilgrims and the Indians on Thanksgiving. And of course, that only comes up in November, when Native American History Month is November too.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. So we really need to concentrate on doing something great for Native American History Month, the whole month of November. And
so Texas is really hitting hard against us. So this is another thing. And I don't know if Messina told you yet, but in Colorado, as of, was it August the 14th or 15th, it was illegal to kill Native Americans in the state of Colorado.
Oh, really? Finally,
Yep.
finally, it's illegal to kill an Indian.
Yep,
Wow.
it's illegal.
Somebody,
Only in Colorado.
Right.
Yeah. But you know what? I got a good friend, Spike Moss, from Minnesota. They are still practicing road kill on Indians. Indians that have to go to the store and walk an hour and a half from the reservation or their communities. They come back with their groceries in their arms, and these white people with pickup trucks run them over and leave them for roadkill. And the government, the state government, they're doing nothing about it. And 2 years ago, they were killing Native women, taking all their clothes off of them and tying a rope around their ankles and hanging them up on lampposts. Come on, y'all.
Mm-hmm.
We're definitely going to talk about that. We have Spike Moss coming this month, I believe, to discuss that situation in Michigan.
Yeah, Minnesota,
sorry.
And
Sandra Hope actually has a question for Arthur. Do you want to read that, Elder, or do you want me to read it?
Do you know when your next movie, Fibonacci Experience, will be released? The plot references a young transient Native American girl being caught in the, I can't see that.
The Convergence.
Convergence. Put my glasses on. Okay. Okay. Arthur?
I don't know. They haven't
Okay.
told me anything yet.
Okay. Okay. All right. Well, you know, you need to be on NCIS every week. You know, you need to be one of those police officers solving crimes. And I hope they'll base it in Minnesota so you can start solving some of those. There. Yeah. But anyway, what time is it now?
So we have about 5 more minutes
Okay.
before we can end the show, since we did come in late, and our apologies. We did have some technical difficulties.
Okay. But anyway, this comment from Jimmy Snetcher, a friend of mine, he says, Connie Gonzalez, I know your brother Jay with a Nightwolf. They are talking about Texas taking the education about Indians out of the schools, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I want to say to all of our Native brothers and sisters that are viewing tonight, that next week, we're going to have a fireside chat with me and some of my friends. And you need to get your questions ready, because I'm going to be answering some questions, the tough questions. And if you got virgin ears, don't tune in. Because
Are you saying that this is an adult hour that we're going to be having, a PG-13 hour next week?
yeah, it could do that. But you know, you got kids 5 years old that understand all of that very well. But on a serious note, all of you Native brothers and sisters and indigenous people here, our Black brothers and sisters, our white brothers and sisters, our yellow brothers and sisters, everybody.
Our allies.
Absolutely. We need to all get together and make some things happen to change the whole face of how life is in America now, because it's gone down a slippery slope. And karma, I tell you, karma, excuse my French, karma is a bitch. And karma will catch up with you at a time in the middle of your evilness that you can't stand the pressure, and karma will take care of you. So we need to think about, we need to think more about each other now.
Yeah, definitely.
And look at the weather. You know, I'm not a Muslim, but one of my best friends is Minister Louis Farrakhan. I remember him saying 5 years ago, we don't need guns to protect ourselves. Just watch the weather and look at what the weather is doing. If that isn't a smackdown and punishment, I don't know what is. So
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Jay, I did want to say something to your assistant. I just want to tell her, yes, she did a great job, but I think she just made Quanah Parker very, very proud by just her stepping up and stepping out into something to honor her generation, but also her people.
Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate that.
And guess what, Arthur? She's
Yes,
only
sir.
she just turned 18.
Oh, wow.
So she got a long road ahead of her. And,
Yes,
and
sir.
I'm going to be counting on not just me and Leslie and you and everybody else to pat this girl on the shoulder and give her some kudos.
Yes, sir.
And she's willing to learn, you know. So her and her brother, you'll meet Sean, her brother, in a couple of weeks. But
Okay.
I'm looking for these young people to get involved with what we're doing.
Yes, sir.
Because we're getting old.
Yes,
No,
sir.
I'm sorry. Excuse me.
I said,
No.
we are getting old. Don't try it. You're older than this girl, for sure, young lady. But, we're not going to be around forever. And
There you go.
do we leave our offsprings? Do we leave them educated? Or do we leave them in the wilderness wondering what to do and what to say?
Actually, it's empowered. Do we leave them empowered?
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Great. So we have 2 minutes and we want to give a special thank you.
Okay. I want to thank Sandra Hope, who is no longer a part of us, but still part of us. I want to thank her personally for all that she did to help get this Winter Nightwolf production up and off the ground. You did so much, Sandra. I am very appreciative of it. And I still love you. I don't care what nobody else say about it. You're still my sister, and they don't like it. Let me get their names. I'll take care of them one-on-one. Also, I want to give Arthur REDCLOUD an opportunity to express his feelings. And before I ask him to do that, Arthur, will you come back again?
Yes, sir. Anytime.
All right. So you got any closing thoughts, Arthur?
No, it just saying basically a lot of prayers for those people who are still trying to fight the pipeline free.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and you'll be out here in October, right?
yes, sir. I'll be out there in October. Yes.
Okay. And as we get closer, I'll let everybody know when he's going to get here, because he's probably going to stay with my house and
Absolutely.
eat my food and sit in my sweat line.
There you go.
Okay. Leslie, do you have any closing thoughts?
Yes, I kind of want to explain to everyone that Sandra decided to take on some of her other activities. So this is why she will not be participating. She's still part of our show. She's going to be more behind the scenes. And she is going to be doing more for her Stolen Nation and our podcast that she has coming up. So I want to tell her thank you so very much for everything that you've done for this show, for me and Jay, and just being a bright light of advice and goodness, and just being a genuinely just wonderful person. My closing thoughts this evening, thank you, Arthur. Hold on. My closing thoughts are thank you, Arthur, so much for being on here and just being a representation of true Native culture. I wish you very well on your journey in finding your family. There are a lot of us who are still looking. So I rejoice with you when you rejoice with them, when you finally go to that family reunion. And
Thank you.
And you're welcome. And Elder, I will see you in a couple of days. I'll be talking to you, I guess, or whatever.
I know.
Thank you everybody for tuning in.
Absolutely. And this one right here, you got any closing thoughts?
It was wonderful listening to you all. It was especially an honor to be able to talk with you, or I guess listen to you talk today, Mr. Arthur, and hear about your experience, and also to be able to see such a wonderful woman like Miss
Leslie Fry.
Yes, in this position. It's such an honor to join you guys today.
Okay. Well,
Glad to have you.
yeah,
Thank you.
we're looking for big things out of you coming soon. So to all of you out there, I love you all of you, even those of you that make it almost impossible to love you. I love you anyway. I will say to you in the Cherokee words, Danada, Goai, Wado. Peace out.